Thank you, Dr. Olumide. Thank you, Pastor Olumide, for coming. We appreciate you. Uh, he's one of my pastors, but I don't fellowship in his church. But I love your frankness. I love who you are. Thank you for being you, sir. Okay, so without wasting our time, I'll say thank you for my panelists. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys. Dr. Stars actually came from Abuja this morning. Thank you for coming, Dr. Stars. And Rita came all the way from Enugu yesterday just for this program. We appreciate you. Yes, we appreciate the Lagosians too. It's not easy to, Lagos is different from every state in Nigeria. Sometimes people, when I go out station to work, they'll tell me the place is far. I say far, 20 minutes far. You've not stayed three hours inside traffic. You're saying somewhere is far. Everywhere here is close. So we're going to go straight forward to the panel session. We don't want to waste our time, and we also want us to quickly learn as much as we can. So I'm going to start with this. We're talking about financial compatibility in marriage. I used to be a spender, Lowo. In fact, as a matter of fact, I hate saving. And one day, I read a book about saving and how it gives you the confidence to move on in life and the confidence to, when something is happening, you're just there. You're not afraid. So when I started saving, my husband used to say, save. I was like, how much is the money that I'm saving? I beg. Let us spend this money. You don't know how much you spend on that. So spend the money and create memories. Somebody said that. They told me, I don't know how much I'll spend on that. I spent all the money. Now, I'm staying too long in the world and there's no money to sustain me. And so when I started saving, it makes sense. Of course, he has told you who he was. And I felt he was too stingy for my liking because Nino Lowo, money is for spending. But of course, we realized that we have to come into the middle point and meet. And that's why we've been able to solve some of those problems. And of course, emotional baggage and marital conflicts. I remember the first time I took 1,500 from his wallet. The world wanted to calm down. And I like, 1,500. I said, this 1,500, I used it to buy bread and fuel. And you created such issue around it until I learned that what money meant to him. I stopped taking money from his purse. Let me just ask, if you give. You don't give, don't give, But it was tough to understand that. And that's what we're going to be talking about now. So I'm going to start from you. Is it Pastor? Should I call you Pastor, Mrs. Oyinda? I should. Okay. Mrs. Oyinda is okay. So if you had to describe financial compatibility in marriage in just few words, what would you say?
Good afternoon, everyone, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be here this afternoon. All right, I would like to describe it with an example. Apple and Samsung. Two different manufacturers, two different accessories. And many times, if you have an Apple, if you have a Samsung phone, if your phone is dead, your Apple cannot help you. But after a while, Apple and Samsung decided to work together. And they now have a charger that is compatible with both Apple and Samsung. So despite the fact that there are two different manufacturers' characteristics, they found a way to work together and to provide harmony. So financial compatibility, two different people can have different characteristics, experiences, background with their finances, but despite their differences, they found a way to work together so that their marriage, does not result in conflict, in argument, and everyone is happy and, they can progress in their financial journey. So when you think about, shared values, shared goals, they've gotten to a point where, they can, have the same shared goals and they can ensure that, they are, they work together, to ensure harmony and alignment where their finances are concerned.
Thank you. So financial compatibility is, it's possible. We just look for the charger. So everybody looks for the charger. Look for what charges the two of you and have a middle point because it's possible. So people can actually resonate at the same level. Thank you very much. Dr. Ustaz, when we're small, even when I had the third child, people still say that have more children. Whatever the children will spend, they will bring it from heaven. I don't know if and of course you realize that children don't bring anything from heaven. They come and they spend the money. That's one of the myths that people actually give birth to so many children for. And there was also another myth about children too, when they say that have more children so that you can have people work on your farm. Unfortunately, people don't want to work on the farm right now. So if you have more children, they might not work on your farm. So how about when it comes to marriage and money? What are the myths couples often believe before they get married? And somebody said there's nothing like an high hope now like marriage. You are wondering where the love is sometimes. This love, is it under the bed? Is it on the pillow? So Dr. Stars, please, what are some of the money myths that couples often believe before they go married? And when they get married, they realize that love is enough. Is love enough?
Thank you so very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my name is Abdul Fattah Adeyemi. I'm a full-time husband. Thank you very much. I'm a full-time husband as against part-time husbands who have side chicks and things like that. You know what I mean?
Thank you, sir.
And I'm a human being. Whatever I say here is not sacrosanct. I'm just speaking from my own human experience. And I'm not AI, I'm being real. So this question about myths, one of such is to believe that love will take care of everything, including money. People think once they love each other, everything is in order. Whereas when money comes in, then people will begin to debate what percentage of love do we need in marriage and what percentage of money do we actually need. For some, it is 50-50. Half love, half money. But you'll be surprised that for some, it is 80-20. 80% for money, 20% for love. It depends on people's experiences and where they are coming from. So I believe that one of such myths is for people to think once we love each other now, we'll understand each other. We also believe that once we love each other, we'll always be there for one another. Whereas sometimes the husband is more affluent than the wife, and sometimes the wife is much richer. While the husband is a breadwinner, the wife actually owns a bakery. And you see there's disparity in that. So it is not just love, there's that mutual trust, there's that commitment to the marriage that is also needed. And we also need to have similar priorities in life. What somebody wants may not be the same as what another person actually wants. So priorities are not automatic. That's another myth people have. They think we will always want and desire the same thing. And it's not always like that. So the summation of that, then you mentioned something about children. I love that one a lot. When they say any mouth that God creates, God will feed that mouth. I kind of, I think I agree a little. You know why? Somebody will say, well, you need a lot of money to take care of many children. My own is, why not get plenty money? What is stopping you from getting plenty money? Say, economic situation would, I say, don't stop blaming economic situation. If God should give you children, get a bigger can. Get super rich. Take extreme care of them to the best of your ability. From religious background, children are gifts from God.
Yes.
It's not the amount of money you have that will determine the number of children God will, send through you to this world. And I believe strongly that every child that comes to this world, God has a purpose for that child, but you are just a facilitator to bring that child to this world. If you are not ready to be responsible, then
don't bring them
here. But if they come and you love to have them, I've seen a woman who said, doctor, what will I be doing if I'm not looking after children? She's winning a child, she's already pregnant. She's winning a child, she says she enjoys carrying pregnancy, and her husband, very wealthy, will spoil her anytime she was pregnant like that. So she felt, what will I be doing if I'm not looking after children? For some, it's something they enjoy. For some, only one experience like this. Is it the CS or the trouble they went through to get that child may make somebody to think in another way of having children. So it's very much left to the individual. But the best part of it is, I strongly believe that you should not bring to this world the ones that you are not ready or prepared, or it's not your priority to look after them. But the myth there is not a myth per se. It depends on who is looking at it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's perspective. Sometimes the myths are not myths. He's saying that for some people, maybe love is enough. And for most of us, love is not enough. Because I remember somebody telling us that we should not run out of cash in our marriage. That the moment we run out of cash, love can go through the kitchen door. So when I'm cooking, I'm like, this kitchen door, why is it the place love wants to go out from? Why is it not going through the front door? So love might not be enough in marriage, because we might need to have his money will spend to buy that memorable, to create memories. You need money to create memories. Of course, it should be fueled by love. If not, then the money spent becomes nothing. Thank you. Okay, I want to look at past relationships and emotions, people, and how it impacts money. For me, I stopped fighting with my husband when I understood how money was, where it was coming from. Because initially I was just like, I remember then when I say even, when we're in church and I'm saying give, and I'm like, why are you giving this more money to God? He said, is it your business? Is it your God or my God? Is God complaining to you? You're like, this money is too small to give to God. And of course now he gives to God. But that initial time, I used to like, is this one not one chance like this? Why somebody will be, they say don't marry a stingy man. Maybe you marry a stingy man going somewhere. That's perspective. Because if you understand why he's stingy, it might be easier for you to understand the journey you have with him. But it was tough because you want somebody to spend money and the person is like, how do we get money? Just like he said. Robert Kiyosaki actually said it's not reducing your expenses, making more money. He will say, let's go and make more money if you want to. If you want this, then can we make more money to get it? So we'll still have to go and make more money to get this one too. So it's not about stinginess. I think it's about perspective. Mrs. Rita, can you tell us, how do our past experiences, maybe the way we grow up, our past relationships shapes the way we handle money in marriage?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Good afternoon, everyone. Standing on all existing protocols. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for this summit. It's been very enlightening. When we talk about nation building, what we are doing today is part of nation building. It's very important. So for the question you asked, I will say that how we grow up goes a very long way to shape how we see money. Because the homes where we grew up, they are our very first classroom of money. They are our very, very first classroom of marriage, of life. So what you learn from your childhood becomes your first normal. It's only when you now start growing, you now start learning and unlearning and learning other things. But our childhood has a role to play. A practical example is that someone that grew up in lack may be very, very cautious about spending money. It's just like you gave a funny example. Your husband kept insisting, why did you take 1,500 from my wallet? So someone that grew up in lack might be very cautious. Then there's also this other extreme end where the person might overspend just to compensate their inner childhood. And then someone who grew up in a home where there is very strict budgeting, like Barrister was telling us and all, we find it initially very difficult to live with a spouse who spends on impulse. As long as the money was not planned to be spent, you might have a problem with the person if you're always spending impulsively. Then when it comes to relationships, let's say someone's ex betrayed their trust, and then they get into a new relationship. if conversations and agreements are not had ahead of time, the person may find it very, very difficult trusting their new partner. Also, in our part of the world, like in Nigeria, men are the sole providers, not only for their immediate families. There's something called black tax for their relatives and everyone. So a man who has been used to carrying all the financial responsibilities alone, if he now gets married without proper counseling, and you start telling the man about joint accounts or joint accountability, the man might be looking at you like he might find collaborating with his wife in the initial years of their marriage, he might find it very difficult. But if they are exposed to the right knowledge, the man can now start getting better. So yes, childhood, past relationships, societal roles, the traditional roles that are assigned to men and women in our society, they have a very, very big role to play when it comes to finances. Thank you.
Okay, TMO is in the house. TMO, I want you to still come on stage. I know you had to come all the way from Lekki to be here, and she had to be at work. TMO, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I have to apologize for tardiness. This is not on brand. It's been a very hectic couple of days, but I've seen that, even from what I heard coming in, that the organizers of this event were intentional about picking people that were competent to equip anybody seeking to perfect and get their marriage in order. Because the information that you have heard, that I heard, has been really loaded. Please give the organizers a round of applause. I'm going to just continue with the questions. This will be to Mr. Watayo Awujobi. Awesome. So we're hoping to get from you some legal perspective when it comes to money and marriage. And to a large extent, one of the things that I love about conferences like this, especially when you are doing the panel session, is that I would like to hear from you. Based on the past experiences that you've had, have you, in terms of legal terms, there was a write-up that went viral about 3 weeks ago. Udo Okonjo wrote about the name on the deed, that you might be a Mrs., but your name is not on the document. And it went viral. I guess a lot of women realized that they did not understand the importance of having their name on the document. So a man gives you a house, but your name is not on the document, or he gives you a car, but your name is not on the document, that you should find out if your name is on the document. So my question to you specifically would be concerning how documentation should be navigated from the legal perspective. I would like you to give us legal insight to how money and marriage can work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say a big thank you, first of all, to the organizers of this awesome summit, Dr. Afolabi and Dr. Adetutu. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. I stand on all existing protocol. Your question is really significant. I have a background in law, and so let me say, first of all, the dynamics of this conversation will stem, first from how you even got married. Many people are not very educated with regards to the dynamics of marital law in Nigeria. There are three, ways by which people get married in our country. There is the statutory marriage, and let me say to you that is the strongest and most tenable. Okay, You can get married in a licensed place of worship. Please take note that I said in a licensed place of worship. All right. That for Christians would often mean a church. Okay. And then the third way you can contract a marriage in Nigeria is traditionally. Now, when you get, most people who get married traditionally do not know that for that traditional marriage to be recognized by law, you can register it at your local government in a council. So the dynamics of who owns what the wife owns, what the man owns, usually begins from how you got married. And the reason is this. If you engage a statutory marriage, that marriage is defined by the law. You see, defined by the law. So even where a man dies intestate, to die intestate means that a man has died without a will, all right? The law regulates how his belongings, whether a man or a woman, right? When a spouse dies intestate, there are regulations within the purviews of the law that directs how, such properties are distributed. Okay, so also there's a concept of today. There's a concept of prenuptial agreement. How many of us know what that is? Awesome. This comes up usually when. So, what is a prenuptial agreement? In the event that two people want to get married, and then they sense that, well, I've worked for a long while, I have resources, maybe the man says he has resources, the woman says she has resources. This is an agreement that says, in the event that we do not continue with this marriage any longer, this is how we're going to share, the things that belong to us. However, this is my personal, opinion now. I think that the reason why all of these conversations happen in our day and time is because couples do not have the essential conversations before they chose one another. My take on marriage is this. Marriage is not a state you arrive at. It's not a status. Marriage is a tool. Are you following me? Marriage is a tool. God gave marriage as a tool to foster an assignment. The grand objective of your marriage is that God has an assignment for both of you to pursue in the earth, and then he brought two of you together to pursue the assignment. If you chose the right person to pursue an assignment with in the first place, the assignment will be your focus. The contribution of your investment and resources to the pursuit of that assignment will be your priority. And you will not be so, preoccupied by who gets what, who has what. The assignment becomes a big deal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I cannot believe that we went from a legal, please give him a round of applause very well. We went from a legal perspective to a purpose answer. I think that we cannot overemphasize how important it is to have the purpose of a thing clearly defined. I also think that whenever we're thinking about the legal perspective of something, is because we have not defined. Like if you don't understand what something is for, then we're just playing around. So understanding and defining, and I got that from him. So if we start by defining in clear terms why we're getting married, it would influence every decision we're making. If we're getting married, but I will not take you on the idea of purpose should negate the need for having some agreements, but you mentioned having the conversation. Sometimes you have conversation with someone, and from that conversation, you can tell that you need to legalize this agreement. When you talk to someone, if you date properly, if you actually court someone, during the courtship process, if you have those conversations regarding properties, investment, ownership, you would already know that this person, I need to sign a prenup with this person. Or I need to have legal counsel if I want to still go on with this marriage. And I think it's okay to have that perspective a lot, so that we don't end up thinking that some people might, like you were saying before I came in, you were talking about how background and upbringing can influence a person. You can marry a good person who has a few warped ideas regarding how to manage things, and you have two different opinions. The legal perspective is a security in such opinion. So I will want to ask a question from the... Okay, so because I'm a bit, I think everybody has answered, right? Fantastic round again. Now, I know when it comes to, and this is not necessarily regarding money, but you are here and I would want him to ask the question. I'm taking it to Mr. No, it's not Mr. Let me give the right title. Dr. Abdul Fattah Adeyemi. Yes, I'll take it to him because when we discuss marriage, money, and Islam, there's always a case of polygamy is allowed, but there's a conversation that you have to be able to take care of them equally. Now, how does money play in a polygamous marriage that is Islamic? Like, how do you start that conversation without money being properly discussed? Because culturally what we have is a man marries like his 3 or 4 wives, and then each of the wives take care of the children by themselves. And we see that happen a lot. How should it be done? How can it be managed if somebody finds themselves in that situation? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that tailor-made question for me. Well, I shouldn't have said I'm a full-time husband. Where do I start from? Let me approach it this way. It's like understanding the relationship between money and marriage, just like what we are discussing now. And when we say married, let's say the couples, or because we've mentioned polygyny, let's say the people involved is more than couple now. It is like Moses and his staff. You see, Moses is the marriage itself and all of those that are there. The staff is money. You see, for anybody who just read the scriptures ordinarily, you see a staff turn into a snake, right? But it is not just that. You see a transformation from a plant kingdom to animal kingdom. It is not that the staff started growing leaves. We say, okay, the staff was dead, so Moses gave it life or God gave it life. It was from plant kingdom to animal kingdom, from staff to snake. And with that, Moses got to understand that this is no ordinary thing I'm holding, no. And that means it was a tool in his hand. And being a tool, anybody who is handling money should understand the potentials of money. What money can be used for, what money can do, and what money should not do. Now, you see, there were 3 relationships between Moses and his staff. Number 1, there was synergy. They were doing things together when God said it should be done. Number 2, they were on a mission, and there was no discrepancy over that. There was no argument. Not that Moses wanted to go here, the staff wanted to go there. They knew they were facing Pharaoh, and they knew they had to set free these children of God. Then you see, when it was time for the staff to part the sea, there was no argument. There was a kind of mastery, and there was a kind of cooperation between Moses and his staff. So in case of marriage, this context at which we are discussing now, let us say the staff is the money that we are talking about. But you see, Moses did not lose focus of what to use his staff for. And the staff was not at variant with Moses' mission, things God has asked him to do with that. So whether it is monogamy or polygyny, what we need to understand is that wealth has to be distributed fairly. And what the scripture of the Muslims say is, it is not equality, it is equitability. Equitability in the sense that you give each woman what she requires and what she deserves. And from now till tomorrow, the man is the sole provider. That traditional role of a man as a provider for the family is there. That's why the conditions for polygyny is very strict. You have to be able to take good care of them. Forget about the way we do it here in our own culture here, where every woman to your children, no, that's not, it's the Nigerian version. You know what that means now. Anything Nigeria, we have our own version to it. So, but how it's supposed to be done is that the man is expected to be able to carry the weight of all of these women to the extent that if there's a very wealthy one amongst the women, she has absolute right to her own wealth. And then the man still have to provide for her despite that. So you have to be a mighty ego. You have to be a superweight before you go into polygamy. This idea of 50-50, you share the bill. No, women are to be spoilt. Let me use that word.
All the women are giving you a round of applause at that.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm saying it. This is how it's designed. And you know, women are very important vessels for real. The kind of things women have to do, childbirth, and they still have to labor to feed and eat. No, they have the right to take care of. That's why you can't be equal. A particular wife is from very wealthy family. Another wife is, you picked her from a filling station where she was helping them selling fuel. Sorry, I'm just giving an example. You know, you have to make the provision for each of them based on what they want and what they require. That is the equitability there. Now, you see, the tool is the money. And a man has to be like Moses. Don't be afraid of your tool and understand very well God's purpose for giving you that tool. And if I was there when Moses was told to drop his staff, if I were Moses and I was told to pick it, you know where I want to pick now. I may not want to pick from the head. But the kind of God that I know and the kind of Moses that I understand, he will pick the staff from the head. Because that is the courage, that's the bravery, that's the mastery, that's the control that Moses is supposed to have. So a man in a marriage, or people who are combined in a marriage, they have to develop that Moses kind of attitude. So the compatibility, like what was asked earlier on by my sister, is that the collection of women in polygyny has to serve that purpose. That is the difficult part of it. They all have to have some things in common. That priorities, value system, and trust will all have to be at least equitable amongst them so that they can move forward. To get to the promised land is not a joke. You need to ask Moses again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Please give him a round of applause. I love the example. I love the way, the analogy. That was a very deep analogy. In our own side of the world, we'll say that flesh and blood did not reveal that analogy to you. But it was a very relevant one. And I would like to move the Mrs. Oyida, right? Awesome. So, for me, the question what I'd like to find out from you, because when we talk about financial planning, we talk about investment. In recent times, we are having a lot of personalized investment in marriages. The women have their own investment. The men are doing their own investment. People have sort of moved a little bit away from the generation of joint account per se because of the things they've seen in their environment. What I'd like to ask you is to share a few tips, some simple habits that couples can build to help them have long-term financial impactful conversations. What are the things that, how would you foresee the approach to those kind of conversations? What are the key things you feel couples should have as structure to help them build wealth long-term, based on your professional opinion?
All right. Thank you so much. I believe the financial aspect of marriage is an extremely important one that, you know, couples have to regularly engage, speak, communicate. You know, the principle that I usually, recommend is transparency. Transparency. So when we talk about joint accounts, we're not necessarily saying, all your money must be in one single account in that sense. But it's the principle behind it that matters. I think ultimately, it's two people coming together as one. Everything you have, belongs to your partner. Everything your partner has belongs to you. And so when we talk about, the management of finances, essentially what is important is transparency and communication. Now, two people can agree that this is the family pot. This is everything that comes into the family. Probably is 1 million naira. There must be an agreement as to, how that amount is going to be distributed, how that amount is going to be disbursed, who is going to take responsibility for, this particular expense and the other. And, in terms of, building for the long term, when it's very easy when couples get married, all you're thinking about is, you want to live in a good house, you want to drive a good car. But those things they're important, but that's not the only thing you should think of. It's never too late to start to think about your retirement. And it's even much easier and wiser when you start to think and talk about those things from day one. So as a couple, what are your aspirations? What are your dreams? What are the things that, you want to achieve financially? Now, it's possible that, someone wants to ultimately pursue higher education. Ultimately, you get to a point where you want to buy assets. Yes, you want to buy houses, you want to buy cars. And you also need to think about, what happens when, I'm not working, because both of you might have a job now, and it might not always be like that because circumstances and situations change, roles change. And how do you ensure that, on a consistent basis, you are not in financial crisis? So from day one, there needs to be a savings and investment plan. There needs to be something that you are putting aside on a regular basis. And I tell people that it's not a function of how much you earn. Because whether you earn 1,000 naira, whether you earn 1 million, or whether you earn 10 million, if you don't learn that habit of putting something aside, you will never, irrespective of how small you think your income is, you will never ever get to that point. So it's important that you sit down and you agree as a couple, this is how much we are going to spend. This is how much we're going to save. This is how much we're going to invest. These are the goals that we're working towards. Those goals can be short-term, can be medium-term, can be long-term. Short-term goals, what are the things that you have to pay for in the next 12 months, in the next 18 months? Medium-term goals, what are the things that you have to plan for that you eventually want to get to in the next 5 years? And then long-term goals, in the next 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, what are the things that I want to achieve? For instance, there's nothing that stops a couple that gets married today. You realize that you want to have children. Your children, you want them to have good education. And then from day one, you start to put some money aside into an educational fund.
Okay, so I love the practical angle we're going into. What I would like you to do is give us a few financial instruments available right now. Because somebody is listening to you, they know we should budget. They know that they should put money aside for the future. But some of the things they see as offers for investment seem beyond them. But I am aware that there are a lot of investments, financial instruments that Nigerians are not taking it serious. So I'd like you to advise some good financial instruments, maybe 3 that everybody here can decide to start with that can help them to build wealth as a couple. And thank you for the point on budgeting and mutual goals. That one is too important. I came back from a trip and I went to the US, I blew body, came back and school was resuming. I just assumed my husband sorts it out. And it was like, we are resuming school. I drove them to school. It was a few years back. All the kids were still in primary school. We drove to school the first 1 week, and then I got a text message that from next week, only those that paid. You only get that message if you have not paid. Only those that paid will be allowed in school. And I just went to my husband like, what happened? He said a contract he was waiting for did not come in. I said, you did not tell me. You saw me travel. I was blowing body. I was asking you, what should I buy? Should I buy this boxer? Should I buy this shoe? Should I buy that one? You didn't say anything that the money has not arrived. Till I came back, till school resumed, till I started the conversation. It was pretty early in the marriage, but I just feel like having that conversation was like, this must never happen again. Let us always have this kind of meeting before we spend anybody. Like, we must discuss it. We're not going to assume, because I assumed that he sorted it. If it was an issue, he would have told me. So please, let us stimulate this conversation. It can happen either ways. So thank you for highlighting that. So now I would like you to give us a practical um, few instruments that people can put their monies into. Thank you.
Thank you. As a basic point of view, everyone should have an account, a savings account. I think that's where it starts from. Every single person should have a savings account, an account where you put something aside and you don't have regular access to it. So it's not that you are saving, you save in January and by June, you've already gone to dip your hands into the savings. Now, after the savings account, another means of saving is also what we call mutual funds. It's a form of investment and it's also a form of saving. And essentially, you give your money to a fund manager, and the fund manager basically gets money from different people and then is able to invest it. And whatever returns come from that investment, it is distributed to all the people. Now, there are mutual funds that today you can start with as little as 5,000 naira. As little as 5,000 naira, you can have a mutual fund account. And I know some people are concerned about, will I lose my money? Will I get interest and things like that? Based on your risk profile, there are different kinds of mutual funds that you can invest in. The ones that you want to be sure that your capital is 100% preserved, it's available. And when you talk about money market mutual funds, where you're sure that your capital is going to be preserved. Now, if you're looking at a long-term perspective, you are able to take a bit more risk, then you can look at investment in equities, investment in the stock market. I usually tell people that if you can't take a long-term perspective, then don't put money in the stock market. Why? Because the stock market, you can actually lose all your money. But the reality is that the market moves up and down. So even if the market goes down, because it goes in cycles, it will always come up. So if you have money and you can, leave the money there for, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, on the average, you will end up making a decent return. Now, that's for investment in equities. Apart from that, you also have other things like insurance policies. And I know in Nigeria, we're only just getting our eyes open to, the benefits of insurance policies. You can buy a life insurance policy. You can buy an education, a policy that basically guarantees a certain amount after a fixed number of years. That's another kind of long-term investment that one can can put funds in. So, bottom line, whatever level you are, there's an instrument for you. There's a mutual fund for you. There are stocks you can invest in to ensure that you are multiplying the wealth that you have today, to ensure that tomorrow, 5 years down the line, you have something going for you.
Thank you so much. Please give her a round of applause. If you haven't, please educate yourself on the multiple financial instruments. Be impartial. I didn't want to start with my own option. My own option is real estate. Everybody that knows me knows. But I also feel like sometimes the benchmark of that, the price is really on the higher side for some people. So start with the one that you can afford as a family. I need to ask this question because I think it's extremely important. And I will be throwing the question to you, Mrs. Rita. Okay, my nose is blocked completely. I'm sure you can hear it from my voice. I'm breathing with my mouth. So I want to ask you about where trust is broken in a relationship based on money. Some people have given bodies to their partners and the body never came back. People quoted that when you read the book by Femi Otedola, he mentioned that he gave his wife money to start her business and she refunded the entire 40 million naira. And everybody has been like, what? You mean you gave a woman money and she refunded you completely? They just assume it's not possible. But how do you rebuild trust when... And I will just have a minute for this. And I know that it might be a short time, but I believe you're able to give us some tools to help rebuild trust when it's been broken, and especially if it relates to money. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So first of all, there are levels of trust. And there are certain amounts of money that you know that unless you bring in a neutral third party, it might actually just crack the marriage permanently. So depending on what's on ground, I would say start with 100% honesty. The offending partner should actually start with 100% honesty. You should show remorse. That is if you want the marriage to move forward. Then depending on the gravity of the offense, for instance, now if you blow someone's or if you blow your husband or your wife's 100 million naira, sorry cannot remove it. So you can get a counselor. You can get a counselor. Then for the offended partner, you have to forgive. You have to forgive. So in counseling, there's something that we call forgiveness therapy. People often think that forgiveness means invalidating the hurt that was meted out to you, or just sweeping it aside, or just excusing your partner's wrongdoing. It's very far from that. Forgiveness just means that you choose to move forward with the marriage and you choose not to weaponize what was done to you. That's basically what it is. So, depending on the gravity, they should get a neutral counselor, go through the process, and then maintain 100% transparency. Finances in the home should stop being the big elephant in the room. You know, there's something very funny. People easily share their bodies, but when it comes to money, there's something in money. Like, I don't know how to explain it. People easily share their bodies, but when it comes to money, people tend to keep a lot of secrets. So go through the process of forgiveness therapy, depending on the gravity. Then maintain 100% transparency. Have ongoing money talks until money stops being the elephant in the marriage. Then they can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so my last question will be going to our legal. You see, we don't want to come and meet a lawyer when it comes to marriage. So the question I want to ask you is, if you could give any newlywed or any married person a tip for long-lasting, peaceful marriage, financial peace, that would make them never to become your customer over divorce, what will be the thing that you would bring up as a conversation they should have? What will be the tips, a few tips that you feel, one or two?
All right, thank you. So first of all, I would say discuss your childhood manuscripts. Yeah? So let me explain what that is. There's a concept of childhood scripts, and we have that in different areas. There's the money script, there's parenting script, there's all of those things. And why that is important is this. Murray Bowen is the author of the family social system theory. And there are quite a number of dynamics in that concept. One of them is the family of origin tendencies. Now, this is deep, right? Family of origin tendencies tell us that the home you were raised in was the picture you began to see, and you learned a lot of things there. So this is, to answer your question, madam, the person you have gotten married to, it's important for you to understand that they hail from a particular home. They came with a certain mindset. I'll give you an example of how this affected me and my wife. I grew up with my mom worked in the bank, right? She worked with one of the banks in Nigeria for over 30 years. And so as we grew up, the way I saw my parents deal with money, I didn't have the opportunity to deal with money that way. My mom, being a banker, so the way they executed projects was that, bankers have all of these loans and they have access to all these kind of things. So my mother would bring money home. My dad was in business. My mother would bring money home, and my dad had access to the money. And then they went on, they did business, they did projects that way. The effect of that on me was that I did not learn the savings culture from home. I didn't learn to save because I didn't hear my parents talk about savings. Because when they needed money, regardless of how much it was, my mother had access to a loan. And that was how they financed projects. They did a lot of things that way. The effect of it on me was that, I didn't learn to save. Fast forward to when I came out of school and began life. I have never worked with a bank. My wife never worked with a bank, right? And so both of us did not have access to loans. So it was at that point I came to realize the effect of family of origin tendencies on me. And so I struggled with savings, right, in the early part of my, And so we had that. It took a while to understand that was what was going on with me. We had the conversations and all of that. So why am I saying this? If I would encourage you on something important to do, have conversations about your childhood script. Money script, totally parental script, very essential. Thank you.
Totally important. Please give him a round of applause. You are taking it for granted, but all of us are influenced by what we saw growing up, consciously and unconsciously. And in most cases, it's more unconscious. So whether there's a parent in the house or no parent in the house, don't assume. I grew up with a father that by 5 o'clock, he's into furniture. Workshop was just beside the house. So 5 o'clock, once the sun is down, he's inside the house. So the expectation I had coming to marriage was that my husband too, 6 o'clock, he's in the house. That's not the case. His background is different. They are from Benin. When you finish work, you first go out before you now come home. Even if you worked in the house, in the evening, you don't stay at home. You will go out in the evening, then you now come back home. And it took a while to understand it. I had to talk to other people. So please, it's extremely important that if you're married, it doesn't matter if you're married for 15 years, you will still be shocked what you discover if you ask how your partner grew up. How was your parents' finance? How did they spend money? How did they build their first house? How did they pay school fees? You will be shocked. You won't think of asking these questions when you're dating. It doesn't occur to you. But now that you're married, if you're already married, it is important to discuss so that it will inform you why you are paying school fees 1 week or 2 weeks into resumption. Because some people's parents, they pay the school fees a month ahead. And that's the script they have. And it will function in your house. So to avoid clash, know the background of the person that you're in a relationship with, marriage or dating. We are out of time completely. The MC is starting. All our panel members are loaded. Please give them a warm, stand up and clap for them. They have shared so much in terms of knowledge with you all. It's important you go back home, x-ray the conversation, ask questions, implement the ideas that have been shared with you all so that by this time next year when we are doing the next conference, our marriages will be stronger by the grace of God. Because we have cross-religion here, I don't want to use the Jesus name. So we take a picture. Let's come to the video.
Yes, please. We can do it here. They said we should do it here. So can we come down? Photographer, you have questions. How many questions can we take, Mom? I know they are eager to ask Dr. Olumide. All right. Please, can we have all the speakers come and sit for like a minute, please, just so they can direct the question to you, please. Honorable Mom. Thank you very much. Dr. Stace. Dr. Stace, please, you can also come up. Ouch, please be careful. Please be careful. Please be careful. Thank God. No one got injured. Thank you. We're good. We're very good. Thank you. Sorry, Mom, please watch your step. Please watch your step. Before we ask the questions, I need you to join me in putting your hands together for my co-MC, for this great man here. Can you jam your hands together for this man right here? Celebrate this great guy. Come here, please. Come together. Come with me. Can you celebrate him for me, please? He's been there from the very... Even when I left the stage, he was still, doing it and, interpreting. God bless you. Thank you very much. I'm not sure what my balance is, but I owe you. Thank you. Are we together now? Please, okay, sir, we have microphones to the sides. So please, would like you to just, whoever the question is directed at, would like you to, this is your one chance to get answers to some of the most disturbing questions you may ever ask. So let me see your hands also so I can know how many persons would be picking to ask questions. How many people do we have? Please raise your hand and make it bold. Raise it up very well, please. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay, 11, okay. Now let's do it like this. Let's make it very fast. Be direct to your question. And please, I need you to work with me real quickly. Please, you pass this microphone to the person I pick. Let's start with, let's start women first. Please start with that amazing woman over there. Put your hands together for her. Thank you. Please give it to her. Thank you. Okay, I'll come to you, please. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I've thoroughly enjoyed myself today. I want to say very special thank you to the organizer. And yes, Dr. Olumide was fantastic as always. Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, I'd like for you to tell us, I'm very happy today because we've been married for 16 years. And I think this is the first meeting I would attend with my husband that speaks to our marriage. I'm so proud that we attend together. I'm so happy about it. I feel like I'm investing in our relationship, and it makes a lot of sense to me. So I'd like to ask Dr. Olumide, I listened to what you said, and I know it is not easy on the part of the woman to seem like you are telling your husband, let's do it this way, let's do it that way. As we were talking, he was asking me, do we have this? Do we do this? So I'd like for you to tell us, how easy do you think it is to speak to men who do not always enjoy coming to such gatherings to hear you in person, especially if you have that burden as a woman? Thank you, sir.
It's very, very important for couples to have three things. Number one, couples should have friendship. Number two, couples should have mentorship. Number three, couples should have community. Friendship, mentorship, and community. You can't do life alone. So when you have friendship, whatever you are learning individually, it will be easier to share together and bring each other to speed. Number two, you need mentorship. As couples, you need to identify role models, exemplary couples that have done many more years ahead of you, that have the kind of model you would like to have, and establish a relationship with them so that they can be there to guide you. Because what we are having here in a seminar, you can have in a coaching session, you can have in a counseling session, you can have in a mentorship session on a consistent basis. One of the things we advise couples to do is to do a wellness check at least twice every year. So if you do a wellness check within yourself twice every year, the mentors will be there to help you. Then the third thing is you need a community. You see, for many generations, they have told us that we should not allow a third party into our relationship. I don't know where they got that from. And many of us believe that and we push that narrative, which is an error. And most of the time, in the same sentence, they say you should not allow a third party into your relationship because a marriage is between a man, a woman, and God. So there is a contradiction in that sentence already because God himself is a third party. So it therefore means that what they should be telling us is that we should be careful the kind of third party that we allow into our marriage, because there is no marriage that can exist without a third party. Your pastor is a third party, media is a third party, friends are a third party. So that's why you now need a community. So as a couple, you need to have community of other couples that share your values, that you can grow together and meet together so that you can have an annual hangout together as couple. It can just be one day, we meet in this person's house this month or this quarter, and or just come up with something so that we can help each other. Because you see, this journey of marriage is not something that only one person can do. So you will not need to wait for a meeting like this. It could have happened in another. It can just be a movie. I don't know if you've seen a lot of all these movies that have come out over the years that have helped marriage. Why did I get married part one? Why did I get married part two? Acrimony. All these movies, both locally and internationally. If you sit down with your husband alone to watch that movie, it can cause trouble. But if you sit down with 4 other couples, 3 other couples that share your values, and you watch those movies together, you discuss, you will learn a lot together. So those are a few things I think you can take on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, to the next person, would like you to please go on. Yes, you please.
So, like I said, my name is Onome, and I want to thank the organizers for this beautiful event. I run a platform called the Power Couple Global with my wife. We'll be doing marriage events for the past 4 years. But I've noticed something, and I think I'll direct this question to Pastor precisely, or anybody I think can respond. I noticed that many times we have couples who, especially the men, my problem is always with the men. Many times the men find it very difficult, just like the previous person asked, difficult to be malleable, to introduce new things into their marriage. Even doctors said it also. Even when it comes to the issue of sex, men don't want to be flexible. We may ask for, let's try something new. They don't want to change. They believe if it's not my way, then everything. I have this couple friend. My senior friend is also here. He knows the person, if I mention his name. He has never attended any of our couples events. He will never attend it. And one day I asked him, why don't you like, it's not the money. I know he has the money. Why don't you like attending? And he opened up a few months ago and told me, I don't like to listen to anything anybody will say about marriage. It has to be my way. And the wife wants to be part of things like this. So how do we help in bridging the gap with people, especially in the church? Because many times these issues, we see them more embedded in the church. And also to add to that, sir, we also find that there are many lapses in the church when it comes to marriage. I know you pointed a lot of them, sir. How do we really help to drive this issue so that we don't contradict what people believe is the Bible standard, even if we're actually promoting our own cultural preferences? Thank you very much, sir.
The church is an hospital with different patients, because the church only looks at things from the point of spirituality. They said,
Thank you very much, sir. Before we throw you to, the microphone.
Okay.
All right, we're back. Thank you.
Because they look at things only from the point of spirits, they will say the people need deliverance. The battery is there. So they said, but most of the time, they don't need deliverance. They just need therapy. They need help. But most people don't seek professional help. I see that you are a pastor does not make you a counselor. That you are a pastor does not make you a therapist. I went to school. I studied psychology. I've done all kinds of courses. And it is not Bible that taught me those things. So what I do is beyond Bible. Because see, to be a medical doctor, you go to school. And after school, you now do medical school, housemanship, and you still be doing recertification. To be a lawyer, you go to school, you go to law school. But to be a pastor, all you need is to claim you heard a voice that nobody heard but you. And then people's destiny are in your hand for you to scatter them anyhow. And that is part of the problem. Over 90% of pastors in Africa have never gone to a Bible school. Over 90% of pastors in Africa have never read, I didn't say study, read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. Not to talk of study to understand it. So, and that is the person you carry your soul to every week to direct you when he himself is confused. So, when it comes to a man that is saying that, he's a man that needs help. He has mental problem. That's mental problem. You don't know. You don't know that you don't know. You don't want to know. In psychology, one of the highest level of madness is self-deception. It's called delusion. It's a level on the matrix of madness. So I say totally with Elisha with it. It's a level for you to say you don't listen to anybody, it's only your part. That guy doesn't need deliverance. It's not a demonic issue. It's a mental problem. But that kind of man now, he may be educated. He will be like a surgeon that can perform surgery, but he's a smoker. He smokes and he knows that smoking is dangerous to your health, but he will still do it. So many times we need to understand that some of these people, they need help, and the help cannot come with prayer. Because ignorance is not a demon. You can't cast it out. So, but the church wants to attack everything from the point of prayer. Number two, and I wrap up with that because I also need to. Now, when it comes to what can the church do? So for you, keep doing what you want to do. Whosoever comes, be a blessing to them, help them, and just trust that with consistency, they either learn by revelation or they learn by experience. One day, something will happen that will bring the people to come and say, this is what you have been saying. So keep it for the church. You can't give what you don't have. A lot of pastors in Africa have inferiority complex, have low self-esteem, have identity crises, and they are people that are operating what we call like a mafia ministry. Because there is no single pastor on earth that can have everything that is required for the members of his church to have a holistic life. It therefore means that pastor must recognize and acknowledge all the other graces in the house, equip and empower them to play their parts. But when they don't understand that every ministry you have, they see it as a contention to their own ministry, they will shut it down or block you or say you are disloyal. And that's why the church is not where it's supposed to be. I can't be a pastor and still be a financial counselor, be a marriage counselor, be a deliverance minister, be a children's church minister, I can't be all. So in the church, I must identify that this couple, imagine doctor now, a member of a church, and then our pastor believes that what does she have to say? She should now be in the church. Okay, when it comes to sex, so married committee, before they get married, let them go through this person's coaching. Go to this person's financial. Those are the ways it's supposed to work. But because the church is being managed by insecure people, they will kill everything. So they don't know better. And you need to understand that the church is both an organism and an organization. That's my time to go. The church is both an organism and an organization. So that organism aspect is the call of God, the spirit, the faith. But the church is also an organization. Organizational management is by training, not by spirit. To manage people management, financial management, project management, crisis management, is not by spirit. So the church now needs to identify all the different areas that needs to be structured so that people, because you can't do it on Sunday morning, so that people can have all those other para-church ministries within the church to take care of all those things. But it's getting better. A lot of churches are doing that. But let's keep pushing. Let's not throw away the baby with the bathwater. Let's not write everything off completely. Let's know that little by little, we'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We can only take about 2 more questions, but this is what we'll do. Please hold on. What we'll do is that we are going to upload the rest of this question on our website, and we're going to attend to everything. This question, I'll be directing it to Dr. Tokpe. Ma'am, are you with me? I think Dr. Tolu, my bad. So the question goes that. Why is it that when a couple have children and the children are old and they are getting married, the attention of the wife is to the children, leaving the man on his own? No sex, no more respect for the man. What should I do?
Okay, so it's ignorance. And I also feel like if you are in love with someone, I mean, in a lot of cases, I feel like Africans, we do not marry. Love is one of the major ingredients that is missing in a lot of marriages. People marry for different reasons here. Because my parents are disturbing me, because pastor says so, because I'm getting old, my friends want to buy a shoebi. Love really, and I don't think we love genuinely as Africans, because I feel like we are so sorry, and I have to say, I feel like we are so dysfunctional when it comes to emotional connection. The kind of love that we see growing up is in a lot of cases what we are modeling. A love where you don't see a man touching a woman, a love where you don't see couples kissing each other, a love where the man does not want to appear weak, a love where the woman does not also not know how to warm up to her man. So, all of those dynamics, we saw them while we're growing up, and we keep replicating them in our marriages. You can't do better than where you are coming from. Like I said, you can't even argue it. It's in your subconscious controlling how you love. If I ask so many of you now, your attachment style, the way you love, the way you fall in love, even some of you break up in a relationship, you can't even leave, So all of these dynamics are coming from somewhere. But the point is, if you love someone genuinely, if the baby comes, you will know that you need a healthy dynamics with your husband to raise a healthy child. But when you destroy the dynamics with your husband in the name of you are raising a child, and then the dynamics is destroyed, and then you start raising that child in an unhealthy dynamics, you start raising that child in a dysfunctional family, because your family cannot be functional when you are not committed to the vow, to the commitment between the two of you. So you don't warm up to your husband just because you have a baby. So it's ignorance, number one, because if you know that you need to have a healthy dynamics with your husband to raise a healthy child, you will concentrate on building that relationship, because that is where the mental health of that child, that is where it lies. But when you mess that up, the child is messed up. So if you have that understanding, you will do better. Secondly, if you love somebody, you don't have children and then but a lot of people, what they want to do is just get married. So they are preparing for the wedding ceremony without preparing for the marriage. In my practice, I tell you, the premarital counseling is the one that is not so popular. Most of the couples I see are couples that are frustrated, they are just dejected, but you won't go for premarital counseling.
You will be planning how to, you'll be doing 1 month, lesson on how to twerk on the wedding day. And then you will not take a week to go for, I'm not talking about church counseling. I'm talking of proper psychological premarital counseling with a professional, right? You don't do all of that. So, you see, you get married because you just want to go inside, let me just make babies. So the moment you make the baby, the attention shifts to the man, to the babies. So lack of love. You don't love somebody and neglect them. Ignorance. You don't understand the implication of destroying the dynamics between you and your husband on the mental health of your children. And then finally, the third point I will make is sorry, give me the second question. I'll come to the third point.
Okay, so the question is about, let me reread. That your attention shifts from the wife rather takes the attention to the children.
Sorry,
leaving
so
the
I remember
man.
my third
Yes.
point. It's mental health, and I will call it. It's just deep. That's what I'm trying to. It's postpartum. A lot of couples, the moment they have the first child, they lose their sexual groove. That's it. The moment they have the first child, it can never be the same again for so many couples, especially in this part of the world, because we are not aware. So you can link it to ignorance. The moment the woman goes through that, all the traumatic process of childbirth, and then all the hormonal changes and all of that. And then some men, I get that a lot, a few times, where couples, they have the first child, and then the sex life is affected. And I'll give you an example. They came to me after 5 years. The son was 5 years when they came for therapy, and they've not had sex for those 5 years after they had that baby. Because the first time they had sex, the husband said, he just carelessly said, this place is not like the way it used to be. Now, he did not even remember that he said that. This lady started wearing turtleneck in the house, and she was not aware. She doesn't even know why she changed her dressing. So when they came to therapy, it was from exploration I found out. And she was like, she just said it casually. The first time we had sex after our baby, my husband said, my vagina is no longer the way it used to be. And then when the husband came, I asked, the man said, I cannot remember. He said, in fact, he jumped in and was like, Dr. Tolu, I love my wife. I want to make love to her every second. So you see, postpartum can creep into your marriage, and then you will lose your sexual grip for the rest of your life. So that's the third point. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma. Please. So we'll take one more question here. We'll read one here, and the rest of the questions will be directed to the website marriageandmoney.ng. Please, would like you to please post all of your questions there.
Sorry, there's one lady. That lady in glasses, I think. She was the first to raise her hand, and she's...
All right, please, can we pass the microphone to her real quickly? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity, ma.
You're welcome.
The question I want to ask is, does sex connect love? Do you get the question?
Does sex what?
Connect love.
Does it connect love? Sex, does it connect love? All right.
Of course, there's a research to even prove that when you are in love with somebody, you have better love, you have better sex with them. Yeah. When you love someone, you have better sex with them. But that does not mean that you cannot have sex with somebody that you do not love. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to direct this next question to Dr. Eustace, please. So are you with me? This person said that in a relationship, the guy doesn't have as much financially as the lady, but they are rather both genuinely okay with that. No issues whatsoever. However, whenever the lady does things for herself, like vacation or treating herself to something special, the guy's family assumes he funds it. Eventually, the family jokingly says things like, I hope you won't finish my brother's money. What should she do?
That's a common thing in Africa here, like doctor was saying. That whenever it happens like that, there's a covenant between husband and wife, and many of these things boil down to communication. Let me even ask, did Adam and Eve, when God made them, did Adam have a navel? Has anybody wondered that? Belly button. Did Adam have? You are not there.
Okay, Adam.
I wish Pastor Olumide was here.
I wish he was still around, sir. But yes. I'm not sure Adam had...
Did he have or did he not have?
Okay. VGA, please.
Don't worry. When we get to heaven, we will. Who is going to volunteer to ask him? Somebody will volunteer to ask him. We asked Eve also if she had the belly button. I think my sister will also volunteer to ask for that. Now, you see, I'm just saying that to bring in Adam and Eve. The question is, what language did they speak for the first time that they met each other? Have you ever thought about it? That was the first couple now. What did they speak? How did they communicate? Was it sign language? Was it what? Was it what? Now, most couples, as soon as they get married, they assume they can easily communicate. Whereas it takes a long time before we know that when somebody says orange, it means fruit or color. It takes a long time of marriage to understand this very well. It comes to the matter of finance also. Like a wife may be the one footing some bills at the point in time, just like we're talking about the dynamics of life. Things change. Circumstances change, situations change. Like I said earlier on, a man may be the breadwinner, whereas the wife owns a bakery. Who has more bread than who? Why you are sitting there carrying slices of bread around and say, I'm the breadwinner? Your wife has the whole bakery to herself. So it's a whole lot of doing things together and covering each other's secrets. Many couples who are experienced there, you know what I mean. At the end of the day, nobody even knew who paid the school fees. Nobody knew who financed a business. There should be that closeness between both of you that outsiders can only guess. And guess what? If you want to enjoy marriage in that regard, number one, have nothing to prove. Number two, have nothing to explain. Number three, have, how do I put this so you get it very well? Yes, have nothing to lose. And number four, have nothing to gain. Let me see if I can put it together again. Have nothing to prove, have nothing to explain, have nothing to lose, and have nothing to gain. If you can have this mentality in yourself, you don't owe anybody any explanation about who spent what, who spent. In fact, within the home, both of you will even turn it to a comedy. You will laugh. That, can you imagine? They thought I was the one that bought that car for you. If husband and wife understand each other very well, you see, these things don't really matter. Nobody needs to be asking you who is. Then the man who is supposed to be the main man of the house, you have to defend your wife. You have to be able to speak on her behalf, but not necessarily that you start explaining to people. We shouldn't forget that we are matured. And we shouldn't forget that this life, you can't possibly please everybody. And we must understand that it's not everything that we know, it's not everything that other people should know about us. I believe strongly that when couples work together, nobody will ever know the difference. They can only guess, they can only imagine, but keep your mouth shut. You don't have to explain to people that, can you imagine that plot of land? It is my money that we used in buying it. That's a woman saying that. What do you want to prove? What do you want to gain? What do you want to lose? And what are you trying to explain in the first place? It's a covenant between both of you, and you don't owe anybody any explanation. I don't think Adam and Eve were explaining anything to the angels at all. They were minding their businesses, and they happen to be the great parents of all of us that are here. So let's just keep it like that.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I believe most of our people already wrote the question. So I'm directing this question to Mrs. Rita, which is the last one. And after this, we can take the rest of the question on the website. So here goes. This person says that, how do you handle situation whereby you see opportunities, but your partner doesn't see what you see? To the extent that is in a country where people pay millions to be for business, yet is there for years without doing anything, but always sounding like someone who has big dreams. But those dreams are not taking an inch. He refused to start small, yet is broke. I want to leave the relationship, but I keep getting advice from people to stay. That's the number one. Number two question there is, secondly, I am a quick forgiver, but when I wrong him, it takes him weeks, if not months, for him to forgive me. What should I? Oh, please.
Okay, so there are two sides. Obviously, in this marriage, the level of information that they have is very, very different. Or borrowing Pastor Lumide's words, the software that the spouses are using to run their marriages, one is very low and one is very, very high. So the first thing I would say, when your spouse is not listening to you, find someone your spouse can listen to. So borrowing from there now, it's a huge red flag to marry someone that cannot listen to anybody. As long as there's someone that your spouse can listen to. You remember Pastor Lumide said friendship, mentorship, community. So when the friendship is not working, you are talking, you've cajoled, you've done everything, it's not working. Get a mentor. There should be a mentor in the marriage that your spouse should listen to, and then let the person speak to your spouse on your behalf. But I will always say, very importantly, it's only God that can see the future. It's not enough reason to leave the marriage. It's not enough reason to leave the marriage. Your life is not in danger. There should be someone that your spouse can listen to. Then, secondly, when it comes to forgiveness, different people have different understandings. And there's this very popular misconception about forgiveness, that forgiveness is forgetting. No. You can forgive your spouse, but you've not formatted your memory now. It's still there. The only thing is that you are choosing not to act on it. Your spouse who doesn't have the same understanding cannot forgive, cannot forget, because probably they feel like forgiving means releasing you from whatever, and they're not ready to release you. They want to hold that thing. So it's just, they don't understand. So borrowing from my faith, it sounds very cliche, but I'll say pray for your spouse. Pray for your spouse. It's very important. Then get a mentor. You don't have a mentor, go for marriage counseling. A neutral third party, a certified one, should be able to mediate and also fix the issue between the both of you.
Thank you very much. Could you put your hands together for our panelists? Thank you so much for your wealth of wisdom and for sharing your experiences. Now, before we wrap it up, we played a